always wanted to ask.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it.
He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change up. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on
On the day left this morning, Nigerians concurring corruption sites during the first of the punch and Nigerian Governors Forum calls for Okonjo's realizing
says new PDP.
Page 2 of the Punch newspaper. The Daily, every day on CoreTV News.
Welcome back to the program. It's time now for the newspaper headline review. I'm joined by two gentlemen, Okena Nebedum, a legal practitioner, and Shidibomi Adebi Bennett, a social commentator. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Core Digest.
Good morning.
Let's begin with Vanguard newspaper today. It's leading with pressure piles on Ambode to drop second term bid. Ex-Lagos PDP chair Salvador 6 others to screen APC aspirant. Asha finds storm over alleged romance with Abuja Group. And there is a picture here of the APC mega rally in Oshogbo. You have Messrs. Titilawi Tomori, who is Deputy Governor of Osun State. Have Governor Abdullahi Ganduji of Kano State. He's the head of the APC's campaign council. There, President Muhammadu Buhari, Osun State Governor. Osun State All Progressives Congress governorship candidate Boyega Iseka Oyetola, his running mate Olu Boyega. So they will have Boyega. Governor Rauf Aregbesola of Osun State and Comrade Ezams Oshiomole, national chairman of the APC, at the APC mega rally in Oshogbo, Osun State yesterday. And still something on politics. APC plotting to attack National Assembly next week. CAP alleges we have no such plans, APC says. And there are different stories that have political leanings there. PDP presidential ticket, Atiku, Saraki, Tambuwal, others face party's test. And something still on politics above the masthead this time. 2019 National Assembly agrees with Buhari, harmonizes electoral amendment bill. Gentlemen, you are both in Lagos, or we are all in Lagos. And the politics of Lagos is taking new dimensions this time. Again, we saw the governor at the APC's mega rally in Oshogbo. Could that be enough? Could that have forged enough support for him to probably, gain the favor of those whose wrath he seems to have incurred at this time? Barrister Nebedum.
Well, I think I will see it from a legal perspective. Ambode as a person, like every other 200 or 180 million Nigerians, have a right to political aspiration. But you know, that right, because of our the uniqueness of our political terrain, that right, you have it. But what determines you attaining that political aspiration are some factors that has to do with entrenched interests. And that is what is playing out here right now. Even though I acknowledge the fact that what brought him to power was a platform of a political party, which is how social contract and social franchise happens all over the world. You contest on the platform of a political party, and as much as he still has that 4 years tenure, he is the beneficiary of that party ticket for that term of office. But determining his right to a second term by external factors like Godfather's entrenched interest and some other political blocks, like what is alleged that it is the local government chairman in the 57 LCDs or LGAs, is what is quite unconstitutional. But we have never seen it.
What makes it unconstitutional? They could choose.
Some people
don't have liberty to choose who to support.
Yeah, they can choose who to support, but you don't, in your choice of right, infringe on another person's right. It's a conflict of rights.
In what way do you?
They are not the public. They are not the public.
But they are the chairman of their councils.
What determines somebody's right to second term? First of all, it's a party thing. But those people are forming a bloc. They are forming an interest group to, move the party from denying him that ticket, which he has a right to, but which is not of public interest, but of interest to that particular bloc for whatever reason they want to believe. I mean benefit.
Okay.
So that is really worrisome to me.
So do you suppose that his own desire to recontest is born out of the need to make a legal status?
He has the right of first refusal, first of all.
Yes.
So, but I believe strongly, and I say it not to deceive the public, it's a party affair.
Mm. Okay, because imagine going to the primaries, for instance, and an incumbent governor,
and he doesn't get a ticket.
Yes, how that would be.
It will be embarrassing, and then at the same time too, they wouldn't also remove the fact that if they say Ambode has failed, it is they that actually failed, because Ambode never contested the election under independent candidacy.
There's a political
so they should
party.
be very careful how they demarcate their own party.
Mm.
If I may come in,
yes, please.
Sentimentally, and on a personal opinion, I want Ambode to be given a second chance. I want him to continue so that all these
projects,
construction sites we have in Lagos can be, can be changed and we can have finished projects. But everything that is happening, I beg to differ, is not unconstitutional. The party, some Nigerians will say they don't want the president to go for a second term. They have their reasons. Blocs in the party have said they don't want the president to go for a second term. They have their reasons. So why can't blocs also within a state say we don't want this governor to go for a second term? Politics is being practiced by politicians, not by free-minded people like ours. So Ambode could have done well for Lagosians in everybody's view. If he has not done well for the politicians, for the party, they will chase him away. And I think he also has he has some faults, and some of these things are self-inflicted. If as a political party, you got to a place on that platform, you help to build that party. I can't remember the last time I saw the governor. Let's be objective. In any APC party, political, all the one governor is trying to contest.
He wasn't on Osogbo yesterday.
He wasn't in Ekiti. And he wasn't in Anambra. They've done, see, there are so many things happening within the party structure. He has been aloof. And sometimes when stakeholders meet, I watch TV very well. You see the deputy governor there. And with a lot of other things that are happening within the party, the APC in Lagos. So he has some things. I like him. I'm close to some people that They are family members to him. So on a sentimental level, I would want him to return. But you don't take away the facts from it.
Okay, let's see how the APC settles this matter within its fold, especially in Lagos, the center of excellence. Some other headlines here. The many, alleged $8.92 billion repatriation, $2 billion tax invasion is the many battles of a telecoms operator. US-based Nigerian group offers to pay Leah Sharibu's ransom. Now, what does that speak?
When I saw that story, I was thinking...
Is it actually from US?
From US.
US doesn't negotiate with
it's a faction. It's a group. And I think it's a Nigerian group. Because the last time, an African-American who is not even a Nigerian, we call them Negroes, but it's not a word that's supposed to be used. They are not. He has not traced his roots to Africa. But we know when you say black man, we call them African American. He's a doctor, and he said he was going to train 6 of the people that first escaped, the Chibok girls. He said he was going to train them up to any level. So we have groups like that that have been, trying to do something for. And this time around, I think the problem the federal government has is the ransom these people are calling. Because if you put 2 and 2 together, you could decipher. Because the what's it called? The president said yesterday it was very, very of a bit offensive in his language that they will not tolerate this thing. They have to. Then the international community will help. Then from sources that are privy to those negotiations, they have said that this time around, what these people are trying to get from the government is just too much. And you know that every time they get something from the government, you see a resurgence of this insurgency. You see a higher impetus in the way they carry out this act. So I think the problem is the government is in a dilemma.
All right, but then as people would ask, if it was one's child who was there, if it was one's relative, what would be that fellow's decision?
Like you said about impetus, what gives them impetus is the fact that they will always get ransom.
So if the government chooses not to give ransom, how do they ensure that those who are...
Government has been pampering...
But government has always said it didn't pay ransom to have any of those captured back.
There are facts available. Government, we don't expect them to come out and swear to an affidavit and tell us that they paid
ransom. Every government does that.
All right, gentlemen. Mr. and Mrs. Column, quickly. Mr. says, to reboot is to restart your computer. I was doing that when you came with your request. So, what did you say you want? Then she says, but I told you more than 6 times today. Are you rebooting too? Well, he should.
When it has to do with money, you have to reboot very well.
The political parties are rebooting.
Over and over again. Okay, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. National Assembly rejigs electoral bill, reaffirms card reader. Buhari, Oshiomhole Tinubu, others rally for Oyetola in Osun. Saraki, Wike, Tambuwal and fresh attacks on APC government. Disease outbreak looms as floods spread. Experts list ways to avert crisis. Buhari orders support for victims. Now this is a picture. Vehicles wading through flood at Akpongbon, area of Lagos Island yesterday. Now we can say this is just the beginning because we're likely to see more.
That is the last set of rains.
But I don't say that. I was coming from the island yesterday. I saw the level of the water under the bridge, Third Mainland. It was so high. And I was joking that those times that people used to jump into the bridge, or people would want to jump so that, all this suicide attempts, and the policemen were the ones stopping people. Policemen will not be able to stop anybody because that level, even looking at it can make you to, have kind of distance that could get you into the water. So the floods, the warnings have been coming. But the only thing the government did not do is to have a place whereby if you tell people to evacuate, where do they evacuate to?
And I'm beginning to think that maybe we should just, if it's a project that would take us maybe a long time, some 6 months, a year, that would just begin to build now.
This is man-made. This is man-made. This is as a result of certain habitat or certain ecological consequences that were not addressed in time past. People living where they're not supposed to live, We know the topography of Lagos. We know the water level. We know all this, all those measurements, so that by the time these things occur again, there would have been a systemic research, which government votes budget into, and then you begin to implement them phase by phase. It's not a dash. I just tell people, like I said, where do they relocate to? Some people have their ancestral homes around those
areas. Always been there, no other place.
But if you educate them on the danger of living around those littoral places,
and it will make available places where they can go to at that time.
They have new town planning authorities. Important. They can factor them into their plannings, and then get those places sandfield and off those kind of flooding.
All right. CBN, BPE diverse federal government equity in Mint. PDP flays INEC for banning smartphones at polling units. Okay, they said they are considering. I don't think they've said.
Sometimes I wonder the kind of politicians we have.
Yeah, but then if you really
do they sit down? Phones? Do they sit down to understand before even speaking to the press? I was very, very disappointed in the chairman of the opposition party. What INEC said is not for you not to bring your mobile phone to the polling booth. You can bring your mobile phones. You can film and do anything you want to do if there is something going on because of malpractices. But when you get to that place, when they give you that ballot paper, immediately you take the ballot paper and you move to where you're going to cast your vote. Your phone should not be visible.
Yeah, but that wasn't explained that way. It was quite a blank statement. Okay, we are considering banning, using and bringing mobile phones
as at
to
the time
units.
As a normal stakeholder, I'm not a politician. As at the time I read it and I saw it. It was after that time. So when I was watching the TV and I saw the chairman, I was like, what's this man saying? Because in Ekiti, I said it on this platform, that no matter what you do, people will always find a way to get to escape those traps. That if I hold my phone in my pocket and I get to where I want to cast the vote, I will thumbprint on the party that wants to give me money, for example, snap it, and go to that place.
Just open it, show them.
No, the opening was the one that was giving people issues.
Okay.
The opening
but this one, you snap it while you're there. You even waste people's time because there are people.
Nobody will even know when you are snapping it.
I was going to say that Ekiti
should
have been a litmus for Osun. And I was expecting INEC to come up with this policy. They have the laws.
So now they're coming up with a policy to ban mobile phones. What do you make of it?
No.
Not at the polling booth.
We don't place value on man-hour. Do you know how much time it costs people to pass through those processes and leave their businesses? Handheld devices are now business tools that you cannot do without. While on the queue, waiting to get to your turn to pick the ballot paper, you use your phone. But at the point you are handed the ballot paper, because we have evidence of that some people we are paid, we are part paid. Go vote, show us evidence that you voted for us,
and get the balance.
So
all right, gentlemen,
you pocket your phone at that point.
At that point, that's what INEC is saying.
All right.
And do the enforcement. Let there be enforcement, not just the press statement. Let there be enforcement by you can't deploy 3,000.
So all of those thousands.
And someone is now saying that is not.
Thousands of security officials who are deployed to monitor elections should
go and use your phone to communicate with your businesses.
Anyway. All right, gentlemen. How Nigeria, DRC, others fall into global poverty net by Gates. Daria picks APC nomination form from prison. God. Contractor returns to Lagos Road project site. At times I wonder what some of our people take us for, really.
It has happened before.
He picked.
It has happened before. So the only thing is, see, when a party say politics is at a local level. So it was the secretary of his ward that went to pick the ticket, that filled it, that went to the.
No, in a situation where even your president.
He went
had his form purchased for him
by people. So what he did.
He wasn't in prison.
What he did was
they were in prison, incarcerated, serving a prison term.
The difference between it.
Yes.
I want to read that law. Everything that happened, I don't think was wrong until a clause was brought into it because Omishore won an election from prison. The same senatorial election.
He's a contestant.
Yes. Then, when he was, but he had not been convicted at that time. The case was, I think, it was remanded. Now, what the lawyer,
and of course, immunity would then cover him for
what
the period.
Darie is serving is a conviction. He has been convicted, and they said when you are convicted, that the law states that you cannot for 10 years
forbids you from
so but they are saying is on appeal, so they are preempting the appeal.
No, not really.
So they just keep our justice
which
system. They keep our justice system busy.
The other thing they are trying to say is, because it's popular, they are trying to tell the prerogative of mercy from the president. So those two things, they are anchoring that fact on. I know enough because as of today, he is a convict and should not go for an election.
Okay,
and
gentlemen.
I think it is bonus track for the people that are contesting against him because they also know better.
They will just have counsels.
Yes, they will just.
That shouldn't deter them. Let the election continue. Let the primaries continue until somebody goes to court and
even before his pre-election.
Over what you could have.
His pre-election matter at the level of the primary or after the primary, they conclude on it and
the
take
Punch
it out.
newspapers. Osho poll: federal government pays constables 50,000 naira each for election duty. Others more. Allowance more than 45,000 naira monthly salary. Now this flood thing, a ravaging flood. Picture 1 shows a resident of Akiri Ozizo in the Ogbari local government area of Anambra State fleeing his home due to flooding in the state. And the second shows an American as he moves out of his apartment due to flooding caused by Hurricane Florence in North Carolina.
So it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, yes.
Hurricane,
it's everywhere.
not flood. Hurricane, yes. So there's a gravity to that.
Okay, yes. So it's a more serious. Oh, I hope we don't get to the level of hurricane in Nigeria.
We don't have that history.
No.
That history.
Because the Abuja tremor thing, yes, it's no earthquake, but of course we know how much that got people agitated. Malabo, Italian judge to give first ruling. Kwara pensioners threatened to boycott elections. 2019, APC to commence screening of aspirants today. BBOG, ICRC, UNICEF demand rescue of Sharibu. Others. Policemen brutalized LASMA officials, vandalized car over colleagues' arrest. The vigor with which our security operatives step into action when a colleague is dealt a blow in whatever form. Some analysts have asked, why don't we use as much vigor when we are tackling some matters of either national interest or state interest? Like that. Because at times they just come with so much force and you're wondering, we've got this strength.
You have to protect your territory. You have to protect
so
it.
that is primary.
Yeah, so that is what they do. Because it could be any one of them tomorrow. So they try to do that, even though it is jungle justice. It is very wrong.
It's very, very wrong when your colleague flouted the law. So you don't defend the indefensible. But in Nigeria, we still don't have the laws taking its course.
Okay, anti-Buhari coalition alleges plot to attack National Assembly leaders. Osun Ekiti Cross River rank low on financial control. Lagos governorship ticket. Ambode's wife failed in bid to change Tinubu's mind. Now, something came back to my mind about some stories that have been flying around regarding this whole brouhaha between Tinubu.
There's so many rumors now.
Oh, so many of them. Presidency, APC have presidential aspirants in PDP. Wike insist. Decide electoral cases on merit. CGN warns judges. Federal government transfers 21% shares in Minting Company to CBN. The Nation. Buhari to Osun. Vote APC to shut out corrupt leaders. Governor Tinubu, Akonde Oshoba, others campaign for Oyetola. Last one predicts APC's victory. Party accuses INEC of excluding its candidate. People living with disabilities back ADC candidate. APC's chances bright, says Ahmed. Bill and Melinda Gates, Nigeria to host more poor people by 2050. So what can we do to make that prediction not come true? State's debt profile now 4.449 trillion naira. That's like half our budget already, says budget. Sanwo-Olu Hamza challenge good. Fayose, I'm ready for interrogation September 20. I can't please everyone, says Anthony Joshua. OPEC partners to ensure all market stability, says Barakindo. Okay, Fayose says he's ready for interrogation by September 20th.
I'm expectant.
All right.
He said so much before the election, so he's
I'm
saying so much now before.
So because it's my state,
the handover.
I'm expectant.
So let's see how the drama goes.
All right.
But the only thing is, people have to do everything within the confines of the law.
Yes, whatever. Either from the part of the governor. Or...
I don't know why they are focusing on Fayose. There are plenty places.
He's the one that wrote them.
He wrote the letter. See, Fayose has always been.
He wrote a letter to them that he would have.
He has always been stoking the embers of war himself, even before the elections.
Some say he's a good citizen. I mean, you're tendering yourself. Who does that? I mean, you're tendering yourself to be questioned when you know that you probably would have found guilty.
When anybody talks,
yes.
I know people will want to, castigate me for this because there is evidence that I'm not a fan of Fayose.
Okay.
And I'm a stakeholder. I have right to my opinion. It's my state.
Yes.
So, and I have the right to be able to say this is how I think my state should be governed better.
Okay.
So, but antecedents has told us a different story. He ran away at a point in time. Do you understand? So they don't want that kind of thing to happen again. And these cases have been there. The cases was there before he ran for election. So it's because of immunity that he was not able to, that the EFCC was not able to carry anything out. And every of his associates that, helped in all these cases, that helped him in maybe alleged looting and all that, they've given, almost all of them have confessed. The Segun Agbeles of this world. So let's...
19 polls, always new dimensions to this discusses. Please join us again. I'll be back shortly.
On the day late this morning, Nigerians concurring corruption sides first up the punch newspaper. America's Nigerian governor forum calls for Okonjo Iweala's resignation. Page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
The Daily, every day on CoreTV News.
Break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have the right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about force.
Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans.
We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
Many thanks for staying with us on the program Core Digest on CoreTV News Lagos. The first topic we are looking at today is countdown to Osun governorship election. That election comes up on the 22nd of September, and today is 19th. That's just 3 days away. Saturday specifically, that election would be happening at different polling units across the different local government areas in the state of Osun. How ready are the people of Osun? On Tuesday, the camp of the All Progressives Congress was represented as they campaigned in support of the party's candidate, Gboyega Oyetola, as that is going on. And just before that, a few days ago, there was a governorship debate for some of the candidates, and one candidate, a candidate of one of the political parties, was conspicuously absent from that. That's been criticized in some area, and whichever one looks at it, counts down to that election. What is not? What should we look forward to? What should we just leave and let be? I have with me in the studio this morning two gentlemen. Shijibomi Adebiyi Bennett is a social commentator, while Okenna Nebedum is a legal practitioner. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
It's 3 days to the Osun State governorship election. Or do we say 4?
3.
But that's 3 days.
Less than 3.
Yes, to that election. From the body languages, because there are times we say we should read body language to know what actually is happening. From the political parties, from INEC, the security agencies, and all of them. How ready would you say we are? Let's begin with you, Shijibomi.
From every report already, from all the reports coming in, and from what we've seen, like yesterday, that INEC had to distribute non-sensitive materials to all the different political districts or senatorial districts in Osun. I think INEC is ready. And from what INEC said about the issue of vote buying, trying to prevent the use of cameras when you go to the cubicle, I think that is that shows the fact that they have been responsive to people's request in terms of we don't want vote buying. To some people, it's not a good one, especially to politicians, because politicians that have a kind of domain, that have a place where they are more popular, they will want to, in any way, win those areas, be it with cash or any other thing. But for us to grow our democracy, it's very important that things that are not supposed to be seen or heard in Nigeria at 58 years are not seen or heard. So I think for me, as at this point, as at today, I think INEC is taking it a bit at a time, and they're good to go. So, but this is pre. We have during and we have post. So what the final phase of the pre, we see how it goes, then we see during, so that we can have a good outcome for the post-election.
All right, and the pre might as well influence or determine what goes on during the poll and after the poll.
Yes.
All right, Pastor Nebedum, Osun governorship election.
I want to see a situation where INEC up its game beyond the rolling out through their press conference the policy forbidding telephone devices or camera devices at the polling, at the point you collect the polling, the ballot paper, is a good thing. The Nigerians are very happy. Coming out from Ekiti election, they actually studied, did a post-mortem of the activities there, and they came up with this. It's so wonderful, because if you actually carry a camera device into the polling cubicle, it negates the principle of secrecy, because it's an open ballot system we're using, open secret ballot. We see you vote, but we don't see who you voted for. So actually covering yourself for who you voted for shows that it is a predetermined expectation that you go back and be funded in full by the person who actually has funded you to come to that place. So it's a good development, and that is why, to every large extent, we want to say that the staggered election has really been a blessing in disguise for Nigerians. If we all our elections all happen between the general election periods, you don't have time to. You only have 4 years after to improve on yourself. So it's a good improvement for INEC. Then for the people of Osun State, Osun, you have been there 4 years apiece too by this Aregbesola outgoing regime, and you have opportunity now to make an assessment of the candidates and what they are offering or what their parties are offering. It is not that momentary engagement or receiving of 5 or 10,000 or 3,000 that will change, or that you utilize to change or should change yourself for the next 4 years.
But when it appears that had worked in times past,
it's an illegality that it has worked. It has worked. How? It worked that you paid some people to come and vote for you, or it worked for me as a person. You see, some of this kind of vote buying may not happen for people who are well-to-do or people who are, you know, a little comfortable.
And that's why people ask, how many of those people who are comfortable have their PVCs? How many of them eventually go out to the polling unit and the polling booth to cast their ballot?
To cast their vote. Okay. Right now, talking about PVCs and their TVCs, people, not everybody has their permanent voter's card right now. And I also expect INEC to have improved on that. That yes, while we have accepted that the card reader would work and the networks would be very easy, up and going, for those whose cards are either oiled or damaged at that microchip, you know, let there be manual accreditation so that those people cannot be disenfranchised as well. So because it could cause a logjam when people queue up and then you keep on trying and the person's PVC is not being detected during accreditation. Let there be manual accreditation so that people can vote simultaneously. And when people vote, let them evacuate the voting arena. You can stay around the same compound, but not disrupt what is happening.
Okay, because it's also said, hang around and defend your vote. Let's take a moment to bring you the headline news at 10. When we return, we'll continue that conversation. So stay with us.
On Digi 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dullards that call themselves governors in this country. I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly. God forbid that I go to join that
Digi 360, providing clarity to issues.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV. Leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I don't buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans.
We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want
Hello, and here is headline news. President Muhammadu Buhari and the national leader of the All Progressives Party, Bola Tinubu, have solicited support for the party's candidate, Boyega Oyetola, in the September 22nd governorship poll in Osun State. Also in attendance were the national chairman of the party, Adams Shomole, Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola, Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode, Ogun State Governor Ibikunle Amosu, Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, among others. Speaking at the party's mega rally held at Osogbo Stadium, President Buhari said Osun has the best schools in the country, courtesy the administration of Governor Rauf Aregbesola, and promised that the administration will continue to develop strategic projects. On his part, Tinubu said the party would maintain peace at the poll and also play by the rules. Speaking on behalf of the APC governors present, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State expressed the support of the 13 governors present for the governorship candidate Boyega Oyetola. Governorship aspirant under the platform of our African Democratic Congress, Boyega Isiaka, picked the party's nomination form for Ogun State governorship election in 2019. After purchasing the expression of interests and nomination forms at the party secretariat in Abuja, Isiaka vowed to clinch the position with the help of the people in the state. Boyega Isiaka has thrown his hat into the ring for the contest of the Ogun State governorship race in 2019 general elections. The governorship aspirant under the platform of African Democratic Congress vowed to clinch the position after obtaining his expression of interests and nomination forms that will enable him participate in the party's primaries. Now, stakeholders of the All Progressives Congress APC in Adamawa State have described a petition written by former secretary to the government of the federation and some governorship aspirants seeking to dissolve the party's executive council of the state as baseless and malicious. They called on the national chairman of the APC to disregard the petition, saying it is aimed at creating disunity in the party ahead of its primary elections. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, has charged judges on the need to determine all pre-election cases on their merits to ensure the independence and integrity of the judiciary in the country. Justice Onogen, who was represented by Supreme Court Justice John Okoro, gave the charge at the 34th Annual Federal High Court Judges Conference in Abuja. Pre-election cases have started increasing in number and weight before judges at different courts ahead of 2019 general elections. Apart from the directive of the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to the judges that ex parte applications shall not be granted in all political cases brought before the court, the Chief Justice of Nigeria has equally ordered judges to determine political cases on their merits. According to the organizers, the conference is put together to enable the judges to appraise the judicial functions in the previous legal year and make amends wherever necessary. Now, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, SGF, says a part of activities for the Nigeria's 58th independence anniversary will include displays by the Nigerian Air Force jets and helicopters. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, announced in a statement by Gabriel Oduda, Chairman, 2018 Independence Day Organizing Committee, that movement of military hardware will form part of the activities earmarked for the celebration. He adds that aerial display by fast Air Force jets and helicopters will be within the airspace of the Federal Capital Territory. According to Mustafa, the Air Force jets simulations involving a total of 27 aircraft assembled from various NAF units are planned for between September 14 to 30 and between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily. Members of the public are advised not to panic at the sight and sounds of personnel and equipment and maneuvers by the military and other paramilitary agencies, but to go about their normal activities. That's headline news. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Michael Nath. Boss will be back with more on Core Digest.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have the right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me
So
say this.
that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change,
Let's change generally. Don't let's change up. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
On Digi 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dullards that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that ballot.
Digi 360, providing clarity to issues.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Glad to have you stay with us on the program Core Digest on CoreTV News. Before the break, we spoke about the Ocean governorship election, counting down. It's just 3 days to that poll. And my guests were of the opinion that, okay, by all indications, at least as what we can see now, INEC seems ready for that election. But then that called for more action to ensure that the issue of vote buying, which INEC has spoken about, with international observers, even local observers, have noticed this an ill of our democratic system, that something is done about it. And it's not just about making policies, but also implementing all of those policies. Let's talk about the 2019 elections. Now, the issues. Joint Committee of the National Assembly on Electoral Matters on Tuesday met and agreed to harmonize ideas and agreeing with the president as the executive now regarding the different issues that were raised. It amended some 14 clauses, deleted one, and it's mentioned that, okay, card reader is not an issue, and it is actually a part of the bill. Now, some sections of that bill that were pointed out about how long it would take INEC to carry out some verification exercises to ensure that the poll is actually hit-free. They've looked at it and hope that in the next few days that document would be assented to by the president. But then, of course, there's also that call, National Assembly, reconvene. And of course, there is the politics playing out also about threats of impeachment of the president of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, his Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara. My guests are still here. Shijibomi Adebi Bennett, a social commentator, and Okenna Nebedum, a legal practitioner. Now, the National Assembly has, it's been meeting before now, anyways, and the Joint Committee at this time made those amendments as requested or as pointed out now by the executive. So, what is the way forward Barrister Nabedun?
Oh yeah, I'm very glad that Nigerians are noticing that the legislative arm of government never went to sleep. The fact that the legislative the Senate or the National Assembly is on recess or vacation, whichever word you choose, is not a down tool. At the committee stage, we've seen them as a matter of priority. The committee that has to do with INEC and democracy and elections has met with the INEC boss, and they harmonized settled every issue about the INEC budget for the 2019 election. Kudos to them. And progressively, they have also looked at the logjam between the legislature and the executive on the basis of the two versions or the different opinions as to the clauses, nailing down to about 14 of them that they were not, really harmonized, and they've come to harmony about it. Haven't gotten that done. By next week, hopefully, within the week, they ought to, reconvene. Although before that, some are of the opinion that this has fallen into a season where most of us are battling with our party primaries. It's a survival strategy too. Some of them are battling for recontesting. Some of them are going to may not recontest. Some of them may be in their battle for recontesting. They'll be battling against some internal interest about party primaries. It's a very serious, distraction for them. Legislative business, but I'm going to believe that they will put priority forward and then put patriotism forward and reconvene and treat those matters of urgent importance. When a legislative instrument gets to the point of committee stage harmonized, the next is to do a second reading in the plenary session and then have it passed by either voice vote or actually voting. And they are not going to be controversial ones, since they have actually did some lobbying and agree within themselves. Those are the issues. And then for the presidency too, I strongly believe that having had your way this time around, I don't expect the president not to assent to that bill, because Nigerians need to have the instrument or the manual that will guide the election that is less than 5 months away. Election comes up in the second week of February. And for now, we don't even have a guideline to it, or what the roadside person will call a manual. So you took a car away from the car shop without the manual, or you took a car, a handheld device away from the telephone shop without the manual. It doesn't tell good. So that manual will be our guide for 2019 election. And they have improved on some points, like the cadre issues, and then all those things. We hope to see the law being tested. By the time we get into election.
All right, you mentioned something earlier, and that's about some members of the National Assembly requesting the leadership to postpone the date for reconvening.
I mentioned something.
No, he mentioned some lawmakers calling on the leadership of the National Assembly to adjourn or to postpone the date of resumption.
Yes, but I think that's commonsensical, because if primaries are going to affect the resumption, that means even if they resume, their hearts, mind and soul will not be there. So it's just their bodies that will be there.
Will that mean further delay now for this document, which so much work, or at least we can say so much work has gone on?
I think at the rate, where we are now is not where we used to be, and I think it doesn't really need so much issues around, because even this one that without the assembly still endorsing or approving it, this one will have been sent what they have now in terms of document will have been sent to the presidency, so the presidency will have seen it. So it's just the official handing over to be signed that will remain. So if the time lapse, because we're talking, we knew that we won't be able to use it for the Osun election, but we still have 5 months. So if we have an agreement, anytime they come back in October, it will just be a formality. Oh, they approved and the president signs. And I don't know, even if with the alteration and the correction done by this committee, if they take it to the president, if it is okay to sign. I'm not sure about that. But by and large, I think we have an agreement. And it's very, very instructive because last week we were on this same platform and we're talking about this bill. And I said it that time that the things, because I think it was Barrister Justice that was there, not Barrister Nebudem now. And I said, so many times we try to demonize politicians. If you look at people's antecedents, now Senator Nassif, he used to be of the APP, he used to be of APC extraction. Now he has defected to PDP. But I want to commend him and the members of that committee, because what is happening at this time needs, I think his attention is even needed in Bauchi, because you know he is an opposition in Bauchi now. The governor is still in APC. It's only Yakubu Dokara that has joined him in PDP. So, but having said that, he did not look at all these things. They came back and still worked on this document. And instructively, he said something. The card reader that, because I like, in everything we say, there's so much fake news out there. And when we're on platforms like this, we should try as much as possible to, you know, the information that we reel out. Because, you know, it was like the card reader was the reason why the president did not want to sign. That was what we were talking about. And I said no. Senator Nassif has now said that even the card reader was not in the one submitted to the president. That it was not an oversight. That the one submitted to the president was supposed to be an addendum. That means an addition to the second one. That everything was not in the third one because it was supposed to be an addition to the second one. So, and every other thing that the president mentioned, he looked at it, they yanked one off, they make sure they modified it. So, and he stated it. So that means there were issues. And we were saying last week, and we were like, for 109 senators cannot be wrong. But he just confirmed that there were issues, and they corrected the issues. So I don't know why we can't wait to have a proper document to be signed. It beats my imagination that 193 million people. You see the letter, and we will still be writing letters like the one the IGP sent to the vice president that got leaked. We'll still be having documents that are not proper documents. It doesn't speak well of a nation that prides itself as the giant of Africa. So, having said all this, we thank God that all these things have been put into perspective. It has been corrected. And I believe the president and the executive now, we don't want to slow the progress of the nation. So they should sign it. So we have like 4 months for everybody to, all the political parties, to master what is in that document and know the template and the modality for the election for 2019.
Right. And in the midst of all that is the threat of impeachment.
That's political. That's between the people in the Senate. It doesn't have anything to it doesn't have anything to do with Nigerians. And even if they don't impeach, like if impeachment was not in play at this point in time, I'm telling you, some other things like politics, okay, how do we win elections, will have been in play. So governance has stopped. The only people that can be concerned about governance are the people that really want to show to the populace that they've done something. Governors, the executive arm of government, maybe in the states and the federal level. But for the senators, for the legislature, they are looking for things to go on, maybe to buy grinding machine, things they used to sew shoes. They are looking for all those things to give to their constituents.
Some even did Meshai.
So governance legislature, if they like, they should do anything they want to do there. It doesn't, they sort it within themselves.
But then when it gets to the point where that begins to affect national interest, because when they went on recess, of course, information later emerged that, okay, this recess then is not new, because every year since 1999 rather, they've been going on recess, this period, and of course it's a long recess, not like the regular public holiday thing. But the information was rife that, or the insinuation was rife that, these people went on this because of the defections at that time, the Senate President and some other members of the National Assembly.
It's not true. It's mere coincidence. I am of the legal profession. The courts go on vacation between August, September every year. But that doesn't mean that I've had several times had my invitation to this place clash with my court matters, and then I didn't appear here. I rather appeared in court. So, and likewise many other lawyers. You cannot begin to come out now and then bandy out wrong information to the public. So it is with the presidents, the executive. They can go on vacation. Our president just did one, and the legislature they are on their own. So it's the wrong information out there. Now talking about impeachment, it's politicking. It's politicking. When they reconvene, the person that will preside is Saraki. He presides over, and then he just does presiding. He does not move 109 people to his own whims and caprices.
And because it is
there
also
are orders for the day, of business for the day. And the person who reads it out is the majority leader in the House, the leader of the Senate. He, actually like a senior prefect or like a class prefect, with the help of the Senate President presiding.
That as it is now, the majority leader, at least in the Senate, is of the APC.
The majority leader is Lawan will be there. What has
Akpabio,
changed?
who was minority leader,
by that time they will be announcing all those. You see, once the Senate reconvenes, there will be some realignment, what we call in law regularization of positions.
And you also know that each of the parties have been pulling their weight. We have the majority in this house. We have the majority in that chamber.
Those things are talks for the streets. When they reconvene, shall we watch it live? It will happen live, and then they will move a motion that this person has
defected. Even they will change their seats without even announcing anything.
Much ado. And the next business for the day priority will be the Electoral Act.
Electoral Act. So because even the people that moved the vacation, it was the APC people that are now shouting they want to reconvene. So all these things are just politicking.
Nigerians need to
as
be educated.
Difficult as it is to remove a president of Nigeria, is the same way it is difficult to remove a Senate president.
But
no Senate president
of the House of Representatives.
But the same.
The same. It's very, very difficult to impeach them.
Impeachment process.
It's very difficult because it's not an election that you don't use your handset. You go into the cubicle. You have to sign and stand up that you are aligned with these people that want to impeach.
And that fellow would look at you straight in the eye. Are you doing that
to me? So it is. I think since 1999, nobody has been impeached. People have resigned. And what they did, especially during Obasanjo's, is to blackmail, like it did for Wabara, like it did for the Okadigbo, the cow issue. Then when the government makes it very loud, then the Senate president will not, especially that time, we still had people of relatively high integrity because of the issues that senators have now were bigger than issues that were making Senate presidents to resign that time. Do you understand?
And
nothing happened. And they were still running. But you can't compare the integrity of the likes of Wabara or Kadibo to the integrity of the people we have now. Because even in the seventh House of Reps, seventh Assembly, we had the Dimeji Bankole being accused of things like profiteering and all other things. And nothing happened. But Okadibo, just because of they bought cows, they bought tree in the tower.
They were still
learning. So we don't have that kind of people that have national interest, at least relatively at par. Not above personal interest, but relatively at par with their personal interest. So all this politicking, if Nigerians like, if they don't like, it will happen.
All right, gentlemen, let's open the phone line 0810-642-6573. 0810-642-6573. Do add the short code +234 if you are calling from outside Nigeria. And please, when you get in touch, turn down the volume of your TV set so we can hear you. You can as well send your comments and via tag now CoreTV News NG. Copy me at Prof Bosse at CoreTV News NG at Prof Bosse. Remember, we are counting down to a governorship election. It's just 3 days away, and then we're also looking at the issues surrounding the 2019 elections, electoral amendment bill, impeachment threat in the National Assembly, and sundry matters. Let's get in touch and let's talk about these different matters. Remember, please turn up the volume of your TV set once you get in touch with us. There are still questions and concerns about the nomination forms and expression of interest forms. I mean, the prices now, the cost of different political parties. The APC, the ruling party, is ranking highest at the moment, 45 million naira. Before we take on that, let's please hear from Jaro, who is reaching out from Yola. Jaro, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Abusade, and a very good morning also to your invited guests there. And my very commendation to you people for
all right, Jaro, let's have a
always bringing on the table the topic that has to do with Nigeria in general. And I want to talk about the two issues which is on your table, which is the electoral bill and also the impeachment of Saraki, which is not the main topic but also part of the And in relation to, or in regard to electoral bill, which the president refused or returned the back to the national level, I think there's a rule that is expected from India in Nigeria. Because most of the topic there is the president refused to sign the bill, the National Assembly returns the bill, and all this. But most Nigerians are not even have the picture of what the bill is all about.
Okay.
It's the responsibility of the media to shed more light in relation to the content of that bill. Most of the people, we don't.
All right, Jaro, thank you very much for speaking to us. And I believe the media has been playing its role in that regard, at least letting people...
I don't believe that.
The media hasn't been doing so much about that.
And he mentioned something very pertinent that he mentioned. Now the media has joined, the traditional media is almost like, not yet like social media, but it's almost like social media. We thrive on highlights. We are supposed to, these are the reasons. I read the papers. Sometimes I had to Google because I'm reading from one newspaper. The only thing that the newspaper is emphasizing is this person has not signed. What is the reason? So I have to research.
All right. Let's have a Peter calling from Bochi. Good morning, Peter. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Apostle. I hope your weekend was fine. Good morning to your guest.
Good morning, Peter.
Yeah. Apostle, please permit me to say this. I'm tired of the particular topic that has been running on this nation. This election of the thing. It's not your fault. It's an issue that has to be talked about. Yes, it's not the party's fault that has to be talked about. But I feel, and I'm of the opinion, that there are better issues to be talked about. Let us look at some things and try to be more reasonable. The politicians have created unnecessary scarcity of funds. They've made poverty, they've created artificial poverty, made life frustrating for the ordinary Nigerians. And then at the end of the day, elections come up, they give you peanuts, and then they reap 1 billion times that peanut that they give to people. Is it not glaring that it's time that we should be talking about the economy and what this government is doing? I've gone through paper headlines on several occasions. It pains me that there's one very glaring issue that pains my heart, and I will cry out through this medium. Leah Sharubi is suffering, an innocent girl that was kidnapped amongst many other girls. Other girls have been released. That girl is there. People are donating money for somebody to come back when the economy of Nigeria has not been properly managed. Please, if that money is donated, if now they are asking for ransom, if such money is donated to free that girl, is it a fault on the federal government? Please, we should start looking at issues. The economy is so hard. Things are not working. For goodness sake, these are better issues that your station will bring up. And I'm tired of this election because the election of a thing is not taking us anywhere.
All right, Peter, thank you very much for that contribution. Of course, different issues seeking attention that one must actually talk about. Now, earlier I was talking about nomination forms, the cost, and the fact that for the office of the president, the APC is charging 45 million both for the nomination form and expression of interest form. And then, of course, we have the Not Too Young to Run bill passed into law. It's now an act of parliament. And then how much of support do we actually in reality are we given to the young people to get involved?
I want to say that three issues, right? The cost of the nomination forms. There is no regulation from the Electoral Act.
Do you consider there should be?
well, if any party decides what and how much their nomination form should cost, it is internal party policy. But whether it goes in line with the one that has regulation, which is how much you spend in an election, that is statutory.
All right, we have...
I'll come to that later.
Okay, Ezekiel calling from Edo State. Good morning, Ezekiel. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. God bless you. There is an issue concerning vote buying of all these things. And all these things started during the PDP regime. If you look at this case, it's very hard to stop all these things. We know that the law is against it. It will take time for this thing to stop. I remember when we were in 1999, all this vote buying was not there.
Are you sure of that, Ezekiel? Between 1999 and 2015?
We see when they were distributing money.
Ezekiel.
To buy phones, to buy voting. And if we are saying that all this thing is coming, all this one is bad, if we take the grace of God to stop all this, no matter how they said, the INEC said that this is what is going to happen, this one is not going to happen, not using, even right for the own vote, they will see the selling the vote to the people because it's poor. It's because of the poverty in the country. Concerning the president, our president, he's trying his best. I always say that the problem that this president has is the Senate. They are the ones trying to frustrate this government. It's not the president. The president cannot do it alone. Because they are fighting, all the senators, they are fighting for their own interests, not the masses. We are talking about the budget. The president willing to present budget to the National Assembly. And we see what is happening.
Ezekiel, thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate your contribution.
Mr. Ezekiel needs to be educated that this is not a military regime where you don't have a legislature, or where the executive arm also does the task of legislating through decrees. And our democratic constitution does not...
I don't think he meant that. What he was saying is just
that the Senate
has been like a cog in the wheel. That is his own opinion.
That is an opinion. Yeah. And the opinion is very wrong. But he needs to be educated that he doesn't expect anything to go into the Senate and come back the same way it went in there. That is, by the way, I was going to say that.
And then is it true that it's only under the APC administration that the issue of vote buying?
I've been an agent of a political party before, as far back as 2003.
So it's always been in the
system.
It's
been there. The only difference is then you give money to the political leaders. Sometimes they will not spend it.
They could give it to party members.
To give it, but this now is see and buy.
All right, James is calling from Akwa State.
That's just the difference.
Good morning, James. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ambassador and the guests there.
Good morning, James.
We are talking about vote buying and what the INEC has done to stop it. But from my own understanding, from what I've heard from the young Nigerians around me, the main reason why they are getting their PVC is to get money from the police at the end of the day. So I don't think the message has really sunk in. I think the National Orientation Agency should do more because the youth.
Thank you, James, for getting in touch.
So you were asking a question as to the parity between not too young to run and then too broke to afford the money for nomination forms. And I was saying that the political parties don't sell crude oil. They don't get involved in business. How do they make their money? Donations donations or levies. If they levy themselves like 100 100 naira per person, as against what APC national chairman said that their party is almost getting to 60 million or thereabout membership. You can see how much you will get, as revenue for them. But in a situation where some money bags now take it upon themselves to, I use the language, invest in the party, they influence the party to an extent. And again, Nigerians are very smart, especially Nigerian politicians. The Electoral Act provides for limitations. They have pegged the amount you spend per election, starting from councillors to up to the presidency. Now, what they have devised is this, to play it out to Nigerians, that some group came to my office today and presented a form to me, which means they have bought. You see, they have removed it from themselves that they actually bought. And if you're an accountant, for them it will not appear in their balance sheet that they invested this money to buy this particular form.
Okay.
So it's an alibi. But it doesn't really put us on a good note as people fighting corruption.
Okay, from Enugu we have Emmanuel calling. Good morning, Emmanuel. Thank you for joining us. Emmanuel? I'm afraid we can't hear you clearly. It's quite noisy where you are. If you can get to a quieter environment, that would be nice.
Having said that, you see that the issue of how much they peg their donation fund, it depends on they have done their studies. Don't forget the fact that they have running offices. They engage consultants to check out the strategy. Some are arguing outside here that PDP, APC may have hiked the cost of that form to discourage some others. No sane businessman, especially when he's an entrepreneur, you can't bring out that kind of amount of money from your
business
company and throw it out in a gamble. So that is actually the situation when you juxtapose it not too young to run. And again, our political system is the issue. The way we run politics, not actually the amount of money involved. It is the way we run politics, how people emerge as presidents. And that is the cog in the wheel of young people to actually. But sometimes, to some school of thought, actually say that those that are in the category of youths should buy for themselves what their pockets can afford for a moment. Let me give an example. If you are a youth and you are gunning for the presidency, you see the outlay of funds and how much it will cost you to traverse the 36 states of the Federation, and then to have your presence, have people, who will be your foot soldiers. You'd rather go for House of Assembly, or you go for House of Representatives, or you go for local government chairman, start from there, and then you can climb up the ladder. As against, coming out from the blues and say you're running for the presidency. That is a school of thought. They are entitled to their own opinion though. But when it comes to the capital outlay, what it costs an individual to actually come out and impact yourself on Nigerians, your opinion, your manifesto, it's a Herculean task. Nigeria has 6 regions politically, and each of the 6 regions has nothing less than 5 states. And some states has more than 3 cities. How do you, traverse those cities? It was on logistics. And logistics are funded. And where are those funds coming from? If INEC should implement some of the laws that has to do with financial regulations on political spending, most people will not be out there politicking anymore. They will be in jail. But we don't have the political will to have those things implemented.
Okay, we have Peter now calling from Taraba State. Good morning, Peter. Welcome to the program.
Good
morning.
Yeah, my greeting to you. Well, I want to contribute election bias. It's a very wrong and fraudulent idea. I don't always like when some people, instead of providing solution, they say it started from last administration. They were just like one of the last people, like started from last administration. And there's no way they can. But if we are trying to make things better, if it started from the last administration, that means that they are people a culture that let it continue. They have to find a way to stop it. I like the idea of the INET to Though I don't want to thank God that one of your guests explained it more. Though for me, that's not that verbally it shouldn't go to the polling unit with back phone. But I now understand that only at the point of voting that you cannot enter without smartphone, but you have to be with your smartphone in order to capture anything that's going wrong. You have to capture it. But that is started from the last administration with Burundi, and it's good that they cannot discuss.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much for speaking to us.
I don't think he had us. A question was asked that did it just start now? And nobody said it started from the last administration. I was even the one that answered. I said, as of 2003, I was a student in 2003 and I was a party agent. So that it was, and 2003 was not the last administration. After 2003, after Abachayo, we had Yaradua. After Yaradua, we had Goodluck Jonathan. So it was a question, and we were bringing in that the only problem now, every problem in Nigeria has been there. The only challenge is we've not been able to create preferred solutions to this. And I've said it times with that number that the long-term remedy to vote buying is just by making everything electronic. Let me be able, in my shop, in my office, I vote on the phone. I just input my PVC number. So I don't get that. Once you still have to go to a place where it's called polling booth, people will always devise a means. Will you be following them to where they are going? So INEC and police will leave the polling booth and be following them. This one that they have even said they shouldn't use phone, they will still find something to use to get. People want to make money cheaply in Nigeria, and that's the kind of environment we have found ourselves. Somebody said Nigeria Orientation Agency is not doing much. It's not poverty that is causing this thing. It's just like saying poverty is what has made you to go and to go into armed robbery. There are times but you don't generalize. There are times that happens. The main thing is orientation. An average American also gets mobilized. People knock on their doors to go out and vote. They give them memorabilia, they give them souvenirs, they don't give them cash. They give them something to look at. When Hillary was trying to contest the Black Vote Matters, they did a lot of jingle, a lot of videos that you just wake up one day and you hear that Donald Trump is the president of Nigeria. That person started running away. Do you understand? They do a lot of things to sensitize people. Those are the things we have to be doing. On this program, we've talked about KREO, all those village square stuff.
Okay, we have Emmanuel calling from Benue State. Good morning, Emmanuel. Get a person off the line. Thank you for trying. We would like that you try.
Then I want to comment on what Peter said the last time. I want to support him a bit because the media throws up. They don't throw up the main issues. But at the same time, these issues are interwoven. We've talked about Leah Shaibu in the dailies today. Then election is very, very important. Everything he was talking about they're important, but the election determines it. Because if Osun gets it right and Nigeria gets it right, then we'll have good leaders. So saying election, what we're discussing today is still very important. What I find not very important is us maybe flogging the issues of politicking in the Senate and all that, because those are politicking, they're internal issues. It doesn't have direct and substantial impact on Nigerians. But elections have impact on us. That is when we get to choose our leaders. So by and large, all these things have to be discussed. Osun people have to shine their eyes. They have to go for the best among equals. So all these things we have to talk about.
All right, and of course, Osun people have to also come out, because if they just sit in the comfort of their homes, I mean, nothing would happen. Or eventually, a winner would emerge. So with or without people coming out, yes.
If 10 people come out, the person that gets the majority.
Voted for. Okay, Mohammed, yes, is calling from Ilorin. Good morning, Mohammed. Okay, please.
One of the callers also mentioned that beyond the Shaibu, that we're not discussing the content of those proposed bills proposed for amendment. That what is always on the public domain is that this person refused to sign.
Highlight.
So I was going to say that as much as he is entitled to his opinion. We have a duty to educate the public beyond the front pages of the newspapers, and that's what we are doing here right now. Some people, rather than watch to be educated, some people attend this show with preconceived notions. To just have that slot, will they be able to pick my call today? And once they pick my call, let me offload. Some, whether that is a topic being discussed or whether it is not, they just release the bombshell and go. But to such people, I want to tell them that see, Nigeria is such a place that is misgoverned, and if we get it right in governance, everything will take shape.
Okay, Galadima is calling from Maiduguri, Borno State Capital. Good morning, Galadima.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Let's have your contribution, please.
Yes, my contribution is I want Nigerians to know that telling their vote is like they are taking their mandate.
Okay.
And I want to say that after they take their vote. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you, Galadima.
The network is shaking.
Okay, thank you for speaking to us. I guess he was just listening to himself. When you call, please listen through
The
your phone
network
and not through the television set. So there
he's
would be
advising
noise.
Kitty people to come out.
Oshun people. The people have already
We've
made
done
a
our
choice.
own.
Yes, you
Don't repeat it again.
And tell them that selling your vote is like selling one's.
So, Oshun people should also realize that what they make of their chance right now would be lasting for 4 years.
4 years.
Except anything changes. Except for anything changes. Because we also have the opportunity for those votes counted to be tested in the law courts. You understand? And he mentioned a thing. I want to take it off from there. He said, now it is politicking pre-balloting. By the time balloting finishes, you don't know what they do with those figures that have been collated. That is when you get the kind of fallout you had in Ekiti, where they said that the eligible voters and the people who actually voted, in fact, the people who voted were more than the eligible voters on record. You see, when sometimes you do some things in a haste, you get out of, you don't balance, the figures don't balance. And I'm
not sure about that, though.
See, it was
about the professor has challenged.
What the professor challenged? Malpractices, vote buying, harassment. When they tallied everything together, total votes was 412,000 thereabout, and there were 700 registered voters in Ekiti. So it's important because not because maybe I don't like how you but because I have to place the facts there. The only thing they said was on the INEC, I didn't get that. They said, but maybe some people did. On the INEC timetable, or sorry, on the INEC website, there was a place when they did tally of votes. It was still 179 instead of 197 for Fayemi, and they said INEC quickly brought that down and changed it to 197. So I'm not sure. I didn't see that. But from collation centers, because we had people that were at the collation center and Sahara reporters, because what people were given, I slept 2:30 a.m. that day because they stopped with 8 local governments and continued after like 1:30 a.m. So what people were sending, I was checking it with what Sahara reporters was posting. So as at that time, Ifeanyi was already leading 6 and PDP had 2. So they were very, very consistent. So if anything had happened, maybe that thing happened while they were coming from the different collation centers in the zone before they got to the state capital's collation center. Yeah.
No, whatever figure that is going to be used will be the authentic figures from INEC. Yeah. And any person challenging any election has to, request for certified true copies of materials used for the election. And I heard Prof then raising alarm that they are causing him undue delay in releasing those things. But that, be that as it may, what I'm trying to say is this. As we are seeing it now going to happen in Ekiti in Osun State on Saturday, the same pattern. There's always that lacuna between votes casted and votes during collation has always been our problem in this country. vote collation, because
so how
that
do we
is
get
the
it
time.
right? Shidibumi has suggested electronic voting.
Electronic voting. We just had it in NBA, and even though it is being contested too, there are infiltrations here and there.
But also the US.
It's something.
But also the US election, which is tagged, very
collation has always been
very clear and open. It's also been
Nigerians are very,
that Russians
Nigerians like influencing things, making things.
So in the case of the US,
when I heard about the NBA issue, this is the second time I just laughed because even we had an election within, I think, 11 people packed presidential aspirants, and they came out and some people said no, just 10, 11 people.
Yes, there will always be those kind of skirmishes here and there, but there's no perfect system all over the world. It's only Nigerians that will make their elections work. It's only Nigerians that will make their electoral laws work. If we determine that it was as imperfect as our constitution since 1999 has been, there have been 2 or 3 alterations to it, and then there's ongoing one presently. So we are going to be getting ourselves perfected per time. But having a repeat of the same problem or falling at the same point will not augur well for us.
Yeah, that's true.
It is perfection that we should strive towards.
All right, so INEC security agencies and even the candidates themselves, let's strive for perfection. What INEC says is not allowed, let's keep it at bay. And Osun people will urge you to go out en masse and cast your ballot, vote the candidate of your choice. And what do we say? May the best candidate win. It's been a pleasure having you both with me in the studio today. My guests have been Okena Nebedum, a legal practitioner, and Shidibumi Adebiyi Bennett, a social commentator. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And yes, esteemed viewers and those who were able to call in, thank you very much for being part of the program. Let's continue on social media. You can tweet to us at CoreTV News NG. Copy me at Prof Bose. You can use the hashtag CoreDigest so we know it's for the program. I'm Apostate Omowi. From all of us here, thank you again for watching. Have a very splendid day. God bless Nigeria.
Allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between 2 people, people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our students, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting, gentlemen. Just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me
say this. So that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
From magistrate to high court, from court of appeal to the Supreme Court, we bring you the rulings, judgments on cases involving personalities, institutions, both low and high in the society.
The learned trial judge said he has not even read the processes.
From the way they are going, they will spend 20 days on a witness. I've never seen that kind of proceedings in my life.
Join Basil Okafor on Legal Scope every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. and the repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Legal Scope brings you activities in the judiciary, updating you on in and out of court proceedings. Join me for updates on Legal Scope on CoreTV News.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will fee give you 500.
Sure, this one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News Broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Hello and welcome to your program Abuja Today that brings you highlights of happenings in the nation's capital territory. On this week's edition, worried by the incident causes of building collapse in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Minister Mohammed Bello has inaugurated a panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote causes of building collapse in Abuja. Also, the federal government of Nigeria has flagged off the FCT One-Stop MSME for job creation and empowerment, saying the initiative is designed to further facilitate synergy between the MSMEs and regulatory bodies to eliminate bureaucratic bottlenecks faced by the MSMEs in the country. These and many more will come your way on this week's episode of the program Abuja Today. I am Anete Patrick. Stay tuned. Worried by the instant causes of building collapse in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Minister Mohammed Bello has inaugurated a panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote causes of the unfortunate building collapse in Abuja. It will be recalled that a 4-story building structure under the construction in Jai District collapsed on Friday, August 17, 2018, leaving 3 persons dead, while 6 others sustained various degrees of injuries. The FCT Minister, who was represented at the occasion by the Permanent Secretary Chinyaka Oha, says the FCT administration, as a responsible and responsive government, is committed to unraveling the causes of the unfortunate incident with a view to stemming future occurrences. Oha discloses that the committee has 3 weeks to complete its assignment and is being charged with the responsibility of assessing the quality of sub-all, foundations and designs that were available for the structure, establish the quality of supervision and nature of construction materials used, as well as the experience of the technical personnel at the site.
The terms of reference for these assignments are to determine the immediate and remote causes of the incident, to conduct any in-situ tests and collect specimens for laboratory test of material from the site, to assess the quality of subsoil, foundation and design that were available for the structure, to establish quality of supervision, prudent use of construction material, and of course the experience of technical personnel at the site, to assess the level of regulation on the site, to recommend appropriate sanction against any person found wanting, to document and submit report that could be used as a reference in the future, and any other reasonable suggestion or guide you may deem necessary. You have to give it to us to enable us to stem the tide of this collapse, because you know a lot of life will be involved.
Chairman of the panel stresses that the frequency of building collapse in Nigeria is unacceptable given the level of professionalism in the industry in the country. He, however, commends the present FCT administration for the reduction of the incidence of building collapse in the territory, noting that the last time this happened was in August 2016.
From the experience of some of us, like myself, it's very peaceful to sit and do research and give the outcomes of research. But the critical matter is when you have the data available to you, what step do you take either to mitigate effects or to eliminate the scenario altogether? I know this is the assignment you have given us, and I believe that I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. The enthusiasm and the rapt attention that I've seen, that we will do our utmost best. It is an unacceptable phenomenon for a country of the status of Nigeria. It is unacceptable for the level of professionalism and the experiences this country has in physical development. In fact, if we were to progress normally, we would be making skyscrapers. And not only skyscrapers, as has been pointed out in some activities in the past, we have not even started harnessing the ground space within us.
The committee is expected to assess the level of regulation at the sites and recommend appropriate sanction against any person found wanting, as well as work with a vision for the future to ensure that occurrences of this nature, which were very much avoidable, would be addressed by its report. The Federal Capital Development Authority has assured motorists and other stakeholders of its strong commitment to ensure speedy reconstruction of the ever-busy Bill Clinton Road in Abuja. This was disclosed by the Executive Secretary FCDA, Jibrin Umar, during stakeholders' interactive session on the proposed project, stressing that the rehabilitation of this road is part of its commitment to tidy up abandoned projects and ensure a free-flow movement in the city. Umar says plans have been concluded to ensure swift and smooth takeoff of the project expected to be completed by December, disclosing that there would be partial closure of the road during the construction period. He also notes that the contract, which was awarded to a Chinese construction firm in March 2018 by the Federal Executive Council, is in the sum of 1.7 billion naira.
We have done every arrangement, and after our visit to site, which we have penciled down for next week, we expect that in the next few weeks, 2-3 weeks, the contractor should be on ground to put up these palliatives that we say we'll do on the shoulders that will enable us to have the movement seamless within one of the carriageways, so that at the time they are done with that, then we'll close up the outbound, which is the one that they'll be starting with.
Director General FCDA highlights that the work will be done in phases, such as rehabilitation of the shoulders to allow them operate before closing the outbound to ease traffic flow, as the carriageway will be open while the work is ongoing.
By allowing the road within the central area of it in connection with the Northern Parkway counterpart, for the road when fully operational to be serving in one-way mode, so that when you are coming from the city and you are Garki bound on this road from the National Mosque area, or we can even say up from the Sheraton side, you will be driving in one-way mode to come until you pass the loop beyond the FCDA Agis complex.
The administration notes that one regular U-turn, synergies, speed breakers, warning lights, life, and dummy flagmen will be introduced along the road to ease movement, as well as ensure minimum inconvenience during the reconstruction period. Anita Patrick. We'll take a break here, and when we return, we'll bring you other exciting highlights of activities as they unfolded in the course of the week. See you shortly.
Sherry, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening. Going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration has approved for Operation 572 public and private schools for operation in the territory, warning that the schools that operate illegally will face the full wrath of the FCT Education Secretariat by risking closure, recalling the 2016 incident where 556 illegal private schools were closed down. The Secretary, however, revealed that 78 schools applied for accreditation in the 11th batch, out of which 61 schools were approved for full accreditation, and of 133 schools that applied in the 12th batch, 79 schools were approved for the full accreditation. INA states that the schools approved were based on their evaluation in 4 thematic areas: physical facilities and environment, staffing, curriculum, academic activities, and support services and welfare. He adds that those that were unable to meet the requirements for full accreditation have another opportunity to present themselves for the accreditation evaluation during the 13th process, which is to take place September this year.
And there are a lot of schools, again, that operate under terrible conditions. So we hear issues whereby people convert boys' quarters in the house to schools, illegal schools, no accreditation, no registration. You recall we closed down 556 thereabouts schools. So we, in that respect, were retooling the capacity of the quality assurance, which is the Inspector Division of the Education Sector, to perform their duty well. Visit all schools, ensure all schools are properly registered, properly accredited, which means they must meet basic minimum standard to operate schools in the FCT. We can't afford their mushroom schools in the FCT. Not only that, they will teach badly, they will expose the children to danger. That is to say, we can't sit idle and
Meanwhile, the acting director, Department of Quality Assurance, says the accreditation certification will require revalidation at regular intervals, adding that the schools that are yet to secure the approval and those approved should not only maintain their current standard but improve in areas of weakness.
The reports of the 2017 exercise threw up a lot of issues, which is helping to modify the operations of this department. Issues such as schools operating within complete registration process, schools violating aspects of the guideline and national minimum standards, schools defaulting in payment of statutory fees, have informed a paradigm shift in the way this department deals with the schools, from waiting for the schools to apply for such required registration process to enforcement of compliance with all registration stages as part of our regular school advisory evaluations. Also, henceforth, no school shall be approved for external examination if it has not fully met all registration requirements. This approach is further empowered by the support and encouragement we have received from the Secretary for Education by way of approvals to refurbish the department's operational vehicles and plants, as well as provision of other operational tools and better working environment for evaluators.
President, National Association of Proprietors of Private Schools in FCT pledges commitment to standards while urging the FCT administration to assist them in providing more level playing grounds.
One challenge we've been having, which I know that my immediate predecessor, Ajia Samira, made known at the last meeting we held in your office, is the burden of multiple charges we get from different quarters, especially government agencies, the area councils, FIRS, currently now, recently, FCT, IRS, development control, and the rest. The burden is, it can be discouraging. In fact, this holiday, I've got calls from at least 3 schools that were saying they're not going to open as we resume in September. Burden of resources and all that. Thankfully, at the last the last meeting of the 69th meeting of the National Council on Education, I learned that there is a proposal to start an education bank or something. We hope that will come to light and then it will favor private schools.
Recalling the 2016 incidents where 556 illegal private schools were closed down, the FCT secretary says illegal operation of schools in Abuja stands the risk of closure. Let's hold up horses here, and when we return, we'll bring you other highlights of activities as they occurred in the nation's seat of power. See you shortly.
Sherry, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening. Going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Welcome back. Severe climate events have in recent times put lives of people in danger. It also constitutes a threat to food security. Working on an intervention to reverse the situation, the Action Aid Nigeria has put together a summit on national agroecology and climate justice in Abuja. The initiative is to end poverty in the country, and it is driven by the country's strategy paper Social Justice 2018 to 2023 by harnessing the importance of agroecology and its contribution to national development towards improving the quality of lives of women and children.
This is a gathering of stakeholders in the agricultural sector with a focus on the theme, Sustainable Agriculture for Food Security. The heavy impact of climate change on livelihoods in all states across Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory, has made it imperative to place greater emphasis on human needs and their agency, enhancement of human rights, and adaptive livelihood systems in the context of resilience and wider transformation and changes. As a result, Action Aid Nigeria commissioned the Agroecology and Response to Climate Survey to understand climate change and justice issues while promoting climate-resilient sustainable agriculture as alternative to conventional agricultural practices. The consultant explains the process.
The purpose will be for us to use the results
to inform, as evidence-based, to assess, well, these are the policies or programs of government, how well are they addressing these hazards? And how well are they addressing the current context in which we live in, which is, the current climate change context in which we live in. As well, it will help us identify at the end of the day what options will be available. First, not just to reinvent the common narratives of government should do this, government should do this, people should do that, people should. No. There is the missing link, and as we get along, we are going to see this in the presentation. How can we be able to, concretize citizens' engagement with the processes involved in policy development or program development?
A climate-resilient agroecology will boost smallholder farmers' adaptive and coping capacity to sustain the food systems in Nigeria.
We need to be able to focus on how we make our contributions to develop and diversify our economy. And that is why Action Aid thought it necessary that as we are working, Agri for Development is in particular an area of attention where you can lift Nigerians out of poverty. The population of Nigeria is not a joke. We are now more than 200 million, at least by the meters that is checking the population of Nigeria. We're more than 200 million. And when you have more than 100 million under, poverty, then there is a crisis.
We plead with more especially the state ministries and the federal ministries of Agri, who are the instrument where the extension agents are, to please work along with us to be able to achieve this dream. And lastly, we have just also identified that we can never achieve food security without security. It's a very, very big challenge. And together, we can move Nigeria forward.
Stakeholders say all hands must be on deck to chart the way forward for food security in Nigeria.
By the time we resume from this recess, I want to assure all our farmers that the National Assembly will come out with a lot of legislations that will support climate-smart agriculture. I also want to assure us that our experts that have done a lot of work in terms of this agroecology summit that we have come here to listen to today, some of which are agencies under the committee's jurisdiction or supervision. We hope by the time at the end of this summit, they will be able to come up with a lot of resolutions.
We have a lot of things that deals with sustainable land management. We don't only think of now, we are also thinking of future. In this respect, we include the women, we include the young farmers, and we include the vulnerable groups, just for us to get the goal, which is for us to have food security as well as diversify our economy.
Approximately 38 million people from diverse ethnic cultures presently live in the Lake Chad Basin, with majority surviving on subsistence farming. The outcome of this summit will foster access to quality land, fertilizer control, soil maintenance, and availability of loans to bring about food security, as well as empower women and young farmers.
And that's how we call it a wrap on this week's edition of your program, Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of activities in the nation's seat of power. Until next week, don't forget you can keep up the conversation on the social media platforms displayed on the screen. More so for advert placements and sponsorship, you can call the number scrolling on the screen to keep the program running. Until next week when we come your way, I am Anita Patrick. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.
is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seat of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we